Hey, what do you say? This is Boz at Men Speaking Out, and I am here with Dr. Jeremy Thompson. How you doing, Dr. Jeremy Thompson?
Yeah, really good, Baz, and I'm really pleased to be on your show, and hopefully I'll have something useful to offer some of your listeners.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, Dr. Jeremy Thompson. I'm really honored for you to be here. This is episode 94, and the title of this podcast is The Diagnosis Generation and Defining Identity Through Mental Health. Well, what does that mean? Well, Dr. Jeremy is going to get into that, but before we get into that, let me give you a little background on my guest. Dr. Jeremy Thompson, MD, City University graduate, has practiced medicine in both, help me out with this word, Adelaide Hills. Is that it? In
What?
Sydney?
Oh, the Adelaide Hills.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah,
part, yeah.
yeah. Look,
Yeah,
I've worked in cities and country towns, and Adelaide Hills is a kind of
Adelaide
country
Hill.
town. Yeah.
Gotcha. He founded Fairlight Family Medical Practice. Now, was it Balagoa? Am I saying it
Balgala.
right?
Hey, that's in Sydney. Where did you get this stuff from,
I
Baz?
did my research.
Yeah.
My
Okay,
friend.
that's true.
Right, medical practice. He's a member of the Australian Society of Psychological Medicine and
Yeah,
has experience with hypnosis. Oh my goodness, don't
yeah.
hypnotize me now. You know,
We'll talk
he's a
about that
family
later. Yeah.
practitioner with expertise in cognitive, narrative, and solution-focused therapies. Right, but wait, there's more. There's more. Dr. Thompson is the author of Understand Your True Identity, Discover the Real You, and Enjoy a Healthier Relationships. Morgan James Publishing was published in January 6, 2026. The book explores how modern mental health terms shape self concept, focusing on the diagnosis generation, the trend of adopting psychological labels and as identity. Using this positive centered approach, Dr. Thompson helps clients separate their true selves from learned behavior for lasting positive change. He has 5 children and 7 grandchildren. What a big
So far.
family. That's all right.
Yeah.
That is all right. Dr. Jeremy Thompson, thank you for joining Men Speaking Out. I appreciate you.
No, no, and I appreciate what you're doing with getting all this sort of information out there to try and help people because, yeah, that's what we're all trying to do, hey?
Absolutely. That's why the
Yeah,
show is the slogan is talking to reveal, not conceal. Right?
yeah,
So
absolutely.
we need to talk to reveal and a lot. And I want to kind of give you a little history. I don't think the audience actually knows. Well, maybe some of them do, but I'm going to give them a refresher course. The reason why we chose that slogan, talking to reveal, not conceal, is because people always talk to conceal. Especially us as men, we always talk. Hey, kids doing good in school, got a promotion on a job. We're doing this. We're taking trips and vacations, but we can't tell each other, "Hey, man, I'm depressed. I
Mm.
feel like I feel like hurting myself." So we have to talk to reveal, not conceal. Make
Yeah, be
sense?
open. Yeah,
There you go.
we're all humans. We all feel the same stuff. Yeah, no need to hide it. Absolutely. Yeah,
Exactly. So just
don't be afraid.
yeah, don't be afraid. Exactly. So,
Yeah,
Dr. Jeremy Thompson, tell me, welcome to the show, my friend. Tell me a
yeah.
little bit
Thank
about
you.
yourself and how did you get into this field of medicine?
Yeah, look, yeah, for your listeners, I'm basically a family doctor. And I'm not quite sure if the system here in Australia is the same as it is in
Mhm.
America, but yeah, we have a lot of family doctors. If you get sick, that's your first port of call generally. So
Right.
yeah, I've worked in cities and country towns and different sort of areas. And the good thing about being a family doctor is you see all the people in your community. You're kind of one of the community. You've got the baker and the butcher, and I'm the doctor, and
Sure.
yeah, you bump into people in the streets. They all kind of know who you are. And you've got rich and famous, you've got down and out, you've got people going through really hard time. You've got people who are doing really well in life and hardly ever need to see you. But you kind of see a good cross section of the community. And people, when they come in to see you, they really do open their hearts to you. They've got confidentiality there. So
Mhm.
I kind of feel that as the family doctor in the community, you get a good sense of how people are going, and I've always just been interested in people, what makes them tick, and what they like, what they don't like, how they're going in their lives. So
Mhm.
apart from just dealing with their medical problems, yeah, I'm interested in the bigger picture of how their lives are going, and you know how things can be better if I can possibly help them. And
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah, and I was just going to say one of the things that sort of struck me after working not for very long really was that actually I reckon most people in your communities are getting on pretty well with life, you know, that, and they might have a job and a good relationship and they're pretty happy. They've got resilience. They can deal with most issues on their own.
Mhm.
Very rarely need to see a doctor. But then there's other groups of people that seem to be coming in and seeing us all the time, seem to be always stressed, having a lot of anxiety symptoms, seem to have more relationship problems than other people.
Right.
And even though you see a lot of these people, they're kind of a bit hard to get to know. And so I came up with this idea as well. What's the difference? How is it that some people can really cruise through life, you know, with seemingly not too much trouble, and other people are just constantly struggling and feeling down and having issues? And ultimately, it comes down, in my mind, to this sense of identity. That the people who've kind of got it together, actually, they know themselves well, and not only that, they feel good about themselves. Deep down, they kind of feel they're a good, able, talented person, and that's the core of their identity, comes from there.
Gotcha.
Whereas there's other people who have this mixed up sense of self, and even though they know they've got some good qualities, it feels like the negative thoughts of like, I'm no good, I'm useless, I'm unworthy, no one really likes me, you know, I'm a bit of a loser, all those sort of little negative thoughts, which we all get from time to time. But some people, it's like become embedded in their sense of identity. And I call that like the mixed bag concept. And so a big part of what I think is really important in life is it's no good going through life feeling mixed up and confused about who you are. And I've got some diagrammatic models I can use
Yes.
to kind of show you this a little bit if you're interested. But the idea is you kind of need to sift through this and work out, now, hang on, who's the real me? Who am I
Right.
kind of born to be? You know, what
Right.
are the natural inclinations and talents that are in my genes, in my chromosomes, that if I hadn't had all those awful things happen in my upbringing, they probably would be flourishing. You know, what would I be doing now? Because that's where you want your direction in life to head from. And you always, the negative things, I believe, are all things we've actually acquired, you know, because of the way our parents were to us, or kids at school, or bullying, and all the things that traumas, all the things that happen.
Right.
They do get embedded in your head, but it's really important to sort of know if they,
Well, see, here's the
you know,
thing, though, Doc. I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off, but here's
yeah,
the
go
question
on.
that I have, right? So basically, you know, it starts at a very young age, right? When you know the self discovery is what I will call it, right? Because you're trying to understand, you know, as you go through this journey of life, you know, you're absorbing this and you're grabbing that and you're giving this and you're being spoon fed that. So the end result, I always say that people are a total of their own experiences, right? You are the result of your life experiences. Is that really true? Is it based on your life or is it based on the people around you?
Now, this is exactly what I'm getting at. Maybe may I just show you, like, with some of
Please,
these little
please.
diagrams? Okay.
Yes.
Now, I used to work in a children's hospital, so I spent a lot of time with babies and toddlers and little kids and things, and you know, yeah, I had 5 kids of my own, and when I first started doing family medical practice, um, because that was an interest of mine, I've had a lot of mothers and bringing their babies into the surgery, so I've spent a lot of time observing them.
Right.
Well, one thing that I reckon about little babies and little toddlers is actually they're incredibly positive. Now, some kids will cry. They'll cry if they're in pain or they're hungry or tired or there's something wrong. But most of the time, there isn't anything wrong, and they're actually really happy and they're positive. And it's amazing
Yes.
how tough they are, adventurous. And I I noticed your daughter there, Brianna. She looks like she's got a bit of vibe and
Yeah.
juju to her. You know,
Yeah.
you
On
can
a
see
good day.
them.
On a good day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you'd imagine, when she's a little 2-year-old, she'll be fighting and
Yeah.
against a big guy like you, and
Yeah.
they've got this incredible toughness in them. So look, the way I see is that we're actually born positive. We're not born with negative thoughts in their head. And like I probably anyone who spent a lot of time working with little kids there, you can see them that they want to play, they want to have fun, they laugh a lot. They're very imaginative and creative.
Absolutely.
They've got
Absolutely.
a lot of different things. Now, I've just drawn them there with, some pluses for things that people would see as their good points and happy emotions, good feelings and things. Now, as you say, unfortunately, you can't just go on blissfully doing whatever you want in life. You're in a family, there are rules there which are quite fair and reasonable. And often you end up breaking the rules, so then you get told off. And the parents are probably trying to help you and be sensible, but sometimes you can take it the wrong way. Oh gosh, she's always yelling at me. Why am I the bad kid? So people start acquiring these little negative thoughts. It might be, oh, I'm not good enough, or gee, they love my big sister more than me. She's the perfect one. I'm the bad one. And so as people grow up, and of course, you're not really thinking about it when you're a small kid, are you? As you say, you just absorb all this stuff. You do notice that, actually, I'm quite good at sport. I'm a little bit better than these other kids. I can run faster, or I can catch the ball better. Or maybe at school, I've picked up reading well. Or maybe you think, oh, but I'm no good at maths or something like that.
Right,
These
right.
other kids are all smart. I'm the dumb one, So little kids kind of start to roughly formulate an idea of their identity, as you say, based on all these experiences.
Right. All the stuff being fed to them. Exactly.
Yeah. Now, one mother said to me once, what's the most important thing when bringing up children? Interesting question. I said, well, I reckon the main thing is that by the time they finish school, they need to have a good sense of who they are. If they know who they are and they feel good about themselves, they'll be able to handle most things that life throws at them, and they'll be able to forge their own path in life.
Right.
And now I said to her, what do you think it is? And she said, well, I think they need to feel loved.
Okay.
And I said, that's interesting you say that, because to me it kind of means the same thing, but you're coming from a different angle. When you feel loved, all your strengths and qualities, you feel you can move forward in your life in that way there.
That's corrove. Right.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say the same thing. I was going to say, every child, love is so important, because it helps you understand. It helps you keep pushing. It helps you not giving up. It helps you really push them for greatness, not so much on the, career side and go take on the world, but to know that they have a safe space with you.
Yes, that's right. And now, but the other thing is, and I'm sure you've seen this, that some kids and some people, they are loved. People
Absolutely.
do love them, but they don't feel loved. And so they still have these difficult lives because they've got these negative feelings that to them it feels like a really big sort of fault that they've got, a big weakness. And so it's hard. Now, one of the problems if you actually don't clarify your identity, and I guess the other aspect we were talking about with this diagnosis generation, that some of these faults seem to fit with a medical diagnosis. So you get a label of, you've got bipolar, or you've got, this or that. And so your identity kind of gets skewed towards that mental health diagnosis, which I think is a really bad and unhelpful way to start thinking.
Right.
In anyone's life, you do have natural ups and downs. Sometimes things go well. You happen into a good job, a good career. You're feeling good. It brings out your qualities. People appreciate what you're doing, and they think you're great, and so your confidence builds, and you do better things. Your pluses, your strengths get bigger and bigger, and your whole personality feels very positive, and you have a good sense of self. But then things can go wrong. You get retrenched from that job, and then your partner leaves you, and suddenly you're on your own. And then all the minuses start to grow big. All those negative thoughts from childhood get bigger and bigger, and they can sort of
So
swamp you.
they uh come back to
Yeah,
full,
they come back to haunt you.
they come back to haunt you.
They
Gotcha.
feel like they're weighing you down like a heavy cloud. And what's happened to all your positive qualities that you were, so pleased about not long ago? Well, they seem to shrink away, and you
Sure.
feel terribly weak. And other people say, "Hey, it's not that bad. You can do this, you can do that," but you don't feel it because you're swamped by these negative feelings. And so your life becomes quite dependent on what the world throws at you. And you also you start relying on other people to try and drag you out of this sort of mess. And so this is what I mean. It's a difficult way to live your life if you feel kind of mixed up in yourself. And then the other thing is, in your relationships, it's difficult because most people have this kind of mixed up way of thinking about people, including themselves. They see other people in the same way.
Mhm.
Whoops. That should have been a negative. I'm doing the positives in red.
Gotcha.
They tend to see other people that way. So they have difficult relationships. In any relationship, you'll have a relationship with someone if you have something in common with them. So some of your natural inclinations fit with theirs. You have similar interests or hobbies. So you're connecting your positives together, which is all fine. But it doesn't take long before they start doing something that annoys you, and it seems to stir up a sulky bad feeling or an anger in yourself, and you then start reacting back negatively. So you start having these dysfunctional relationships with people.
So real quick, Doc, before you go any further, the math is math in here, right? So I'm seeing how this I call it playing table tennis is going back and forth. So
Yeah.
my question is that so in the first circle, it's an individual who has all these negative and positive things going on, and
Yeah.
of course, obviously, trauma can play a big role in bringing somebody back down again, right?
Absolutely.
To that space that they don't want to be in, right? And
Yeah.
then, of course, when you deal with the other individual, you got two people who are experiencing the same stuff, but of course, some may be a little bit heavier than others. How do you get beyond that, right? How do you deal with
Okay.
interaction?
Now, and this is the whole thing that, I don't want to leave people with that, because that does seem like a mixed up, confused way of thinking about yourself. And also, people talk about resilience these days.
Yes.
And it would be hard for this person to feel resilient because they feel like a lot of these sort of negative thinking or bad habits they've got feel like they're part of their soul.
Mhm.
If someone points out, hey, you've done a terrible thing there by doing that, they point out that it feels like they're sticking a knife in your chest, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Now, I actually don't think people are really like that, and they shouldn't be like that. And those people that go through life who actually seem to be happy within themselves don't really feel like that.
Mhm.
What they feel like is, and if you can see this diagram, it's more that they've got all the same positives there that they were born with, and they see the negatives that they've acquired more out to the side. So that if they do something wrong or make a mistake and feel quite bad about something, and someone points it out to them, so say someone points out, oh, you've done that bad thing there, because it doesn't feel like it's part of who you are, you're more amenable to listen to criticism and go, yeah, gee, you're right, that was bad that I did that. I'm really sorry. Yeah, gee, I need to learn from that and try not to do that. But you can still feel okay about who you are as a person. And so this is what I call a sort of a positive centered psychology, that your identity is centered on all these natural talents and abilities, which I believe you've been born with. And all these traumas and all these things, they give you a heavy weight. And some people have a heavy pack on their back full of heavy rocks and things that they're carrying around. But the important thing is, as long as you've got a sense of self, gradually that pack will get lighter because your direction in life has got to come from this positive side. A lot of people spend their lives dealing with these negatives and dealing with these problems. And there's nothing wrong with fixing up problems. But on the other hand, there's also the real you. And where does it want to go in its life? Where does a real you want to go? Even when your problems are solved, you need to know, what do I want to do with my life? What am I interested in? What do I want? And that's your path forward. Gotcha. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I got a couple of questions before I ask the questions to let the listeners know. This is episode 94, and I'm talking to Dr. Jeremy Thompson, and this is the Diagnosis Generation, defining identity through mental health. Now, here's the question I got for you. All right, so you got a Venn diagram there, right? Of course, you've got your positives, you got your negatives, and you're just saying, of course, you got this invisible, weight on you that you're carrying around. However, sometimes that can have people want to pass that on, that energy on to the other individual, their partner who they're dealing with. Now, this person didn't ask for that. However, if say two people care about each other, I'm just throwing this as an example, and you come into a situation where you got a lot of stuff on your shoulders, right? There's a lot of things that, this other partner didn't know about. However, that weight, that energy starts to transfer from yourself to the other individual who might be a very positive person who's, living their best life, but now they're taking that energy, that transfer, right, of energy, and now it's playing a part in their psyche, right?
Yeah. Okay. Can I, let's move from that. You're right. I mean, this person's fairly positive, but let's say this person is carrying a lot of baggage, and this person's copping a lot of it. And in the end, it starts to weigh them down, and it sort of brings out a few of their own sort of sensitivities. And so that's a hard one. Now, if you see it this way, imagine it's the same two people, but this way. Let's just say this is our person who you say had a lot of natural positive energy. But they ain't perfect. We've all got little negative things in our head, right? But what you're saying is this other person, and it depends how you think of them. Okay, they've got a lot of baggage. And this baggage is coming out, Now, the important thing is where you sort of place all those heavy emotions and things like that. And what you don't want is say if this is you down here, you don't want to swing over here and react back negatively. And this is what can happen, that another person's, anger or frustration or whatever it is, it can sort of trigger something in you. So then you get a bit narky back towards them. And then whereas you were having quite a good positive relationship a couple of days ago, now you've got this really tense, horrible thing going on. Well, the way I always think about it is, when things come out, if I'm in this position, I think I got to be really careful that I don't go over here and get negative myself. Mm-hmm. This person might have a lot of baggage, but there's a good positive side to them too that I like. Mm-hmm. And so I need to connect with that, this side of them. Here are what these issues are. Tell me about that. What was the background to that issue, that trauma? How did that happen? But somehow sort of change the perspective, that you make sure you keep a thing. And the way you talk to people about it, say, yeah, that sounds really bad that your dad was so horrible to you like that. How did you actually manage? How did you survive it? Mm-hmm. And then you might hear a story. Yeah, well, I survived just by working, focusing on my work or doing that. And then you start to hear about a positive side of it. And so then you can latch onto that. Okay, that's really good that you're able to do that and separate yourself from that. And was your dad always really bad and horrible to you? A lot of the time people say, yeah, he was, And was he ever quite nice to you, or did he ever do any good things ever? I go, yeah, actually, he did, read us stories at night time, and sometimes we did have some nice times. And I might say, and your dad, where do you think all his anger and bad feelings came from? What was his childhood like? And people will usually say, yeah, actually, he had a really bad childhood
Mhm.
himself. And that's so even if someone has collected a lot of baggage off their father or mother or someone else, even by using this model to sort of try and understand, okay, dad probably didn't want to be that bad. You've got kids, I've got kids. I've
Sure.
never met anyone who doesn't want to have a good relationship with their children. It's very sad when
Yeah.
people can't, or with their parents.
Yeah.
Ideally,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
much better that you can feel good about your parents and good about your children.
Yeah,
Um,
but if a person hasn't experienced that love or say for example in their childhood, let's say my father, not my father was a very good father to me, by the way. That's what
right.
I'm using as an example.
Okay.
But if they haven't experienced that love or shall I say their parents embracing them, and of course when they do wrong they scold them like they should, right? But at the same token, isn't doesn't that trickle down to the next generation and so on and so forth? I mean, how do you
Yeah, it
stop?
does. It does. I mean, most of us, most of the bad things that I do
Yeah.
in my life, and none. I've said some bad things to people, or I'll get into conflicts and things like that, and say things that later on I regret. But most of those things are kind of little bad ways of dealing with people that I've acquired. From the way people yelled at me when I was a kid growing up. So
Mhm.
yeah, and we're all trying not to do that. We're trying to be our positive self and not do these negative things the best we can. But my point is that the only way you can really try to improve the situation is to change the way you think about yourself and change the way you think about other people. You know what I mean? I get frustrated because a lot of people are stuck in this mixed up way of thinking about themselves and other people. And as an example, one of the first things when a new uh, client comes into my surgery, we
Mhm.
call them patients in Australia. If you came in just for a health check, I'm interested in your family history. Hey, are there
Right.
any interests in your family? What about your mum or your dad? And you wouldn't believe how many times people say, "Oh, dad, well, we don't ever talk to him anymore. He's a real rat bag. No one gets on with him. So yeah, I wouldn't
Wow.
know."
Wow.
Or mum, she's a crazy witch. No one has anything to do with her. Or my sister, we don't get on with her because
That's
they have
insane.
this. It's
That's
crazy, I know.
insane. It's insane to me that that's another podcast. But go ahead. That is just
Well,
insane to me.
not everyone's like that. I mean, like to be fair, most people they've like yourself, they've had pretty good upbringings
Sure,
and
sure.
they've been
Right,
able
right.
to establish a good sense of self. But when people get caught up and they've got these fixed beliefs that people are ratbags, often what will happen with this mixed bag model, it's complicated to live your own life. And when you see other people, you see a couple of negatives in them and you quickly judge them on the basis of that.
Is that
Oh,
implicit
he's
bias though? Is that implicit bias, right? 'Cause we all have a little bit of implicit bias in us, right? Something can go wrong and you hear this thing called deal breakers. That's
yeah.
a deal breaker for me, right? But you don't know historically what they've been through.
Well, you don't. That's right. You see a little negative thing. I mean, life, we're rushing around trying to do all these things. You come across someone, they say one little thing and you don't like the way they speak to you.
Mhm.
Maybe they are a bit demeaning or they seem a bit arrogant or something. You think, oh, they're just an arrogant
Yeah,
rat
so and
bag.
so. Right,
And
exactly.
so,
Right.
and so you see that you kind of grow it into a big thing. There are some people that the minuses seem to coalesce and you just think, oh, God, he's such a horrible, revolting person. And your brain wants to switch off to them. And that's the bias that you're talking about.
Right.
Now, I think everyone has got a good heart and soul in there somewhere.
Mhm.
And it's funny. I mean, even pretty bad criminals or things like that. Occasionally, I'll get them as patients, and you know, I'll say to them, how's your life? Is this the way you wanted your life to be? And invariably, people say, no. I just wanted to have a normal kind of happy life, and somehow or
Right.
other, I just caught up in this stuff, and I just can't get out of it. Um, yeah.
And I think that's
So
most people too. I think that's most people. People like Dr. Thompson, I firmly believe what you just said is 100%. Most people are good people.
yeah.
All of them, I believe that in my soul, in my heart, that
Mm.
most people are good natured people. It is the society that has made them whom they are with decisions, either go left or right. Should have said yes, should have said no. So it's society that has actually shaped them like clay, so to speak, into that person they present themselves to be. Like, but I firmly believe that most folks out here walking this earth are actually good people.
Yeah, well, I reckon deep down, everyone, as I say, like just when you see babies, I mean, you've had kids, you see
Hmm.
them when they come into the world, they're pure, they're clean,
Hmm.
they don't have angry thoughts or negative thoughts or anything. And they
Yeah,
don't know who they're going to be or whether they'll be good at sport or they'll be a good scientist or a great socialite or something. I mean, they don't know who they're going to be, but you just see that pure beauty in them.
yeah,
And I believe that all these bad habits and negative thinking is stuff that unfortunately we acquire. And I think it's probably always been that way. But the way you position those negatives in your sense of self and identity is really critically important. And
right,
essentially, that's what my book is about. And it's not just so that people can feel better about who they are as a person, but it's to help them see a way of navigating with other people so they can improve their relationships with others and hopefully spread it through their family and through the community and, you know, out there into the world at large because the world itself at the moment is crazy. Like,
right. So I have a question I want to ask you, and basically, the question is, when you talk about folks and their families, right? And sometimes some of us deal with anxiety, right? I
yeah,
mean, I mean, I've talked to people here recently. I was talking to a young lady, and they're going back to work into the office because due to working remote, and there's like, hey, well, I I haven't worked in the office since 2019, and I got a level of anxiety. And I gotta actually go sit next to somebody, for 40 hours a week and 5 days a week. And so my question is that what's the difference between I'm anxious versus I struggle with anxiety?
yeah. I mean, anxiety is a funny thing because we all get it. Every human gets anxiety to a degree. In fact, every animal. I mean, I love animals as well. And if you're out and there's some horses or cattle or sheep or dogs or any of the animals, some of them are a bit more nervy and anxious than others, and some are kind of a bit more stable and solid. But they're all a bit wary. They don't want to get killed or anything.
Right.
And anxiety is one of those things that we all have, and the right amounts of it are very good for you. Help you to be more conscientious. You worry about things that might go wrong, so therefore you prepare better. I'd much rather hire someone who's got a bit of anxiety than someone who doesn't seem to have any anxiety at all. But of
Correct.
course, if you have too much anxiety, that can stop you from doing things that deep down are good for you.
Yeah.
In my models, I try and separate out, okay, well, what's the good anxiety that's helpful for you in your life? And what are the dysfunctional parts that are unhelpful and that you want to get rid of? For someone like that lady you're talking about,
Hmm.
it's about confidence. As I say, most of the time, if someone like that lady comes to see me, before we even talk about that, I'll say, hey, tell me about yourself. Tell me about your life.
Hmm.
Because for her to have the confidence to get back to work, she needs to feel good about who she is a person and feel strong within herself. She's not going to do that if she's kind of got this mixed up sense of self. So it actually takes a bit of time to tease out the bits and sift it out so that it's like it's a big jigsaw puzzle. You've got all these little different elements to it.
Hmm.
And some of them actually represent your true self. And they're the ones that you want to put all those parts of the jigsaw puzzle together. Yeah, this is the real me. Actually, yes, I am a sensitive person and I probably always feel a bit anxious, but I'm a good worker. I'm smart and the company needs me. But yeah, I've got a few bits which are unhelpful, and those parts of the jigsaw puzzle, they should be out the side somewhere. So yeah, I'm not sure if that sort of helps, but with anxiety, obviously, a lot of
No,
people
it
have big
does.
issues, and and need to
Yeah, I
see
think we all do.
counselors to,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I think we all do, right? I think we all have a little level of anxiety and some, depending upon what it is, right? Well,
Mm.
who we're around, what type of task is involved, right? And I'm asking that question because, you said good anxiety. I think that's what you said. You said good anxiety.
Yeah.
I didn't know if there was such thing as good anxiety. I was
Well,
just
there
like,
is though. I mean, look, before I come on here, I get a little bit nervous. I've even brushed my hair a bit, you know. um, yeah, but the point is, you don't want to label your identity as something to do with anxiety. Okay, yeah, I'm a good person. I'm quite sensitive. Like when I was in high school, I had this terrible social anxiety. I had a real stutter. I
yeah, yeah,
used to
yeah,
talk like that. I only got over it, but my parents got me a job in a delicatessen, and I had to serve people when they came in, and
yeah.
so when they came in, I'd say, "How are you?"
Oh,
and
wow.
uh, and I'd have to say that over and over again. In the end, I got better at it until eventually I could speak well, and that's how I got over the anxiety. So the
Okay.
important thing with anxiety is you've got to face your fears. It's some way and gradually get yourself over it. And you can do it, and you just need to go and do it, as they say. But that's what takes a little bit of self confidence and self belief. And sometimes with people, the only way they'll get that is by having a fresh look at who they are and their true identity. Bit sensitive, but okay. Then you can face those fears, deal with a bit of anxiety, and gradually get over it. So I hope that lady does have a crack at it and see if she
Yeah.
can get back there bit by bit.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping she's listening to this podcast as we speak, right? Because this is episode 94, and I'm talking to Dr. Jeremy Thompson, and this
Yeah,
is the diagnostic generation with defining identity through mental health.
yeah.
Yes, we got folks tuned in and watching you now, Doc. They're
Oh,
watching you.
good.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. That's
good.
a good thing.
Well,
Yes.
I hope it makes sense. I mean, yeah, it's like you were saying. It's all about helping people, and you were saying how society sometimes creates some of these problems.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I find it in society, people are very quick to judge you. One or two little bad things that you do, and they judge you as if they know you. But really, human beings are very complex people. There's many different aspects to them, and if people do things that seem bad or wrong or crazy, rather than condemning them for it or punishing them for it, I always think, hang on, we need to try and help this person. Like, why have you done that? And so it is interesting when people seem to do crazy, awful things. If you hear, how did you come to make that decision? What was behind it? And hear their understanding. I think that's quite important. Yeah, I don't know if it's ever happened to you where someone's got mad at you for something or told you off or whatever,
Got
and
mad
you
at
kind
me.
of feel, hey,
I said, got mad at me. Oh my goodness, I could go. The list goes on and on and on and on, right?
really?
Yes, because I may have not had the same idealism, because I may
Yeah.
not want to, go the same direction. I try to choose my own path, or I may not have entertained. Here's one: a social media post that I didn't align with, because nowadays these 15-second blurbs make
Yeah.
people professionals in that space that have no alignment with me.
No,
Yeah.
well,
So yeah,
that's right.
folks.
And
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, like, it's a horrible feeling when you get attacked like that, and you kind of, if it happens to you, think, hang on, why don't they just ask me why, the background to this, so I could explain it, because then you might understand. But often people don't have the time for that, and so they just judge you, and that's it.
And here's the thing, you hit the nail right on the head. Here's the thing. I think that we sometimes in society we become very, very entitled. That's the word I want to
Mm,
use, right? We want it. We have a microwave mindset, right? We want it right now, right now, right now, right now. Instead of
mm.
letting things, like I said, simmer in a crock pot, letting them cook a little slowly, right? Right. So I think that, we want it when we want it. We want this. We want to We anticipate folks following our lead and our direction, and when something doesn't happen the way that that other individual wants it or expects it, now we went everything when it went to hell,
Mm,
right? Just kind of going back up to your first diagram, right? The negatives get
mm,
bigger, and it's just one
mm,
small thing that has
mm.
now become a molehill into a mountain.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not even necessary
Yeah,
because
that's
we don't
right.
take the time to be considerate and to think about this person has a life as well.
Mm,
This person may have experienced some difficulty, historically with themselves, and here we are pushing our thoughts and our beliefs and our belief
mm.
system on that individual, and all these negative thoughts are coming out of it just because that other individual does not have the same belief system as the one who's pushing it.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, and we're all human beings. And while as we have different kind of beliefs about, religion or politics or whatever it is, in my view, we're kind of 99% the same.
Yeah,
These sort of beliefs where we have differences, they're actually pretty minor when you really look behind it all. Really, everyone wants the same thing. They want to have a good life. They hope to meet the right partner. They probably like to have kids and have a family and just the simple things in life and have a peaceful life and not have fighting and having people shouting at them or all this sort of thing. So I guess what I've been trying to do is, and I think a lot of people are good at living those sort of good lives, really, and having good family and
hmm,
having good sense of community. But then for all those people that are struggling with it, this is what I'm trying to do is show this different way of doing it. And it happens. You'll get some families. I get some families that'll come into my doctor's surgery. It could be a mother and few kids, and sometimes dad as well. Some of them are always they're bitching at each other and having a
hmm.
little go at everyone, putting them all down. They've got this niggly, nasty way of doing it. And I'll go, hey guys, can you just stop being mean to each other? You're all in the family. You should be helping each other. So
Wow, they walk into the office like that.
they
Wow.
do, and I'll get other families, and they've got a really
Wow.
nice way of speaking to each other.
Right.
And one will do something and say, "Hey, do you mind not doing that? There, it's kind of annoying me." And so they've got a good way of communicating.
Yeah.
And so it's the difference of having a family full of kind of mixed bags or sparring off each other and having a dig, trying to put each other down versus
Mhm.
people trying to help each other.
Sure.
And I've noticed it in football teams and things like that. That sometimes you're in a football team or any team. It could be your working organisation, or it could be a year at school or a class when you're
Mhm.
in school where actually everyone's really nice to each other. They help you. They make you feel good and you try harder and you realise, yeah, I'm actually quite good at this. They can bring out your
Mhm.
talents.
Mhm.
And then in other teams or organizations, there's this negative bitchy thing where everyone's trying to put each other down more. And so I kind of see that as that these people need to change their perspective on the way they think of people, that
Right.
really we should all be trying to help everyone. Well, sometimes you'll get some parents, they only want to look after their own child
Yeah, that's not.
and they'll do everything to push their own kid ahead. Well, the way I see it, we're all human beings on this planet. Yes, I want to help my kid, but I want to help your kid, everyone's
Absolutely.
kid. What I love is seeing people when they can bring out these hidden talents, and a
Yes.
good coach can do that in a sporting team.
There you
Some
go. That's
kid, some kid who's never really got anywhere, and this coach brings out a talent. Next thing you know, he's the world class player.
mhm.
So yeah,
I have a question. I know that we're almost out of time, and I know you have a book that says "Understanding Your True Identity," and I
yeah,
would like for you, if you don't mind. And by the way, folks, that's understandingyourtrueidentity.com. You can pick it
yeah,
up and, of course, order it from an easy and proven way to build good relationships and avoid bad ones. Right. So, I'd like for
yeah.
you to really be just kind of give us your book, right? Maybe in a minute, just overall synopsis of what it could be, how we can benefit from your book. I definitely want to make sure that I'm going to post it when I post the podcast.
Yeah, no, good.
But from your words to the public, what do you?
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, I mean, we've been talking about it. It's about changing your sense of the way you think about yourself and the way you see yourself and the way you see other people, and recognizing that within you, you've got all the talents and all the abilities that you need to survive, and you need to separate those from the negative thoughts and forces and the bad emotions that you've acquired in your life. You need to keep them out to the side. And then you need in your relationships to see everyone else in the same way. And so if there's a problem going on or a conflict, you've somehow got to connect with the positive side of that other person and help them with that problem. And they may or may not help you, but you just at least try and help you and act with integrity. And then try and spread that through your family and in the football team that you might coach, or in your organizations, in your schools, that we can all do better by showing people our good qualities and hoping that that sort of rubs off into them and the way that they treat people as well. The book goes on to, I explain other techniques like your cognitive behavioral therapy, which interestingly, cognitive behavioral therapy, you're trying to rub out some of these little negatives one by learning the different techniques. My way is, I like simple things. So my simple thing is, if I'm in a confusing, I just say, what would the real me want to do? Sometimes something happens, I get angry. I feel like, saying something really foul.
Yeah, no, we all do. We all have our moments.
But I'll stop and say, but hang on. Yeah, that's not really me. What would the real me want to do? Actually, the real me is kind of caring person. I like to help people. So that gives me time for the emotion to settle a little bit, and then I can act more positively. There's a lot of stuff in the book that flows on into relationships, and, that actually, I think in relationships, each person needs to know themselves and their own identity, and they need to be moving in a direction that feels right for them. If you're moving this way and your partner's moving that way, really hard to make it work.
Sure.
And that give people the freedom to be themselves and who they are. You don't want a coercive sort of relationship or any of that kind of thing. So I've got stuff on broken relationships and what you need to have good relationships. There's a lot of stuff on communication.
I am going to order this book, and I'm going to actually, go be nose down deep into the book. But we do have a comment. Someone, one of the viewers, listening to you right now, said, "I really like him. He's very interesting and informative." There you go. You got a fan. You got a fan at the podcast, right? There you go.
Yeah. No, well, thank you. The only other thing I'll say is, I mean, I've been working as a doctor for a long time, and I know that the models and things, it resonates with your ordinary people. They're fairly simple and basic when it comes down to it, but I always think simple is best. But the only reason I'm getting this book out there is not to sort of build up my medical practice, which, if anything, I'd rather I had a quieter one, because I just want to enjoy all the other things in life. But it's really to get it out there, try and help as many people. I just hope that some people will read it and go, yeah, this is a better way to think about things. Still takes time for the change to happen, of course, but it's a good one if you're having counseling or seeing a psychologist yourself over, just sort of reading it. I think the principles that I've got in the book are quite good, wholesome principles, and the heart's in the right place for the whole thing. So I hope people like it.
Yeah, well, it is available now, and I actually copied your website address and I put it into the chat. So now folks on the YouTube channel and people on the Facebook group can see. They can actually double click and go right to your book. Dr. Jeremy, I really appreciate you. I mean, I tell you, you are one of my best guests for 2026.
You know what? I've enjoyed talking to you. You've got a lot of natural positives and energy within yourself, and I think you're blessed to have that, and that makes me feel good. So
Thank you.
positive energy, I'm sure, is rubbing into others and boosting them up and helping them to be their better self. So thank you for
You're welcome.
everything that you're doing.
My philosophy is it doesn't hurt to smile. You know, you never know that your smile could
Yeah.
pick somebody up just by walking
Mm.
past. And good energy, I believe in transforming it. I'm also a life coach as well, right? So
Yeah.
I firmly believe in giving good energy and making sure those around me
Yeah.
can feel it, know it, and see it. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
No,
it.
well, that's yeah, and in a way, I'm a kind of like a life coach for people as well, because it's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
You want
yeah,
people to be happy and enjoy the world. There are some
absolutely.
bad things going on, but there's a hell of a lot of beauty and good things as well, and so there's much to be enjoyed out there.
Hey,
Mm.
Dr. Thompson, my one of my favorite sayings is, "I'd rather be seen than viewed," and that's it. If you get that right, I'd rather be above ground than below it. So hey, I'm
Oh,
going to
that's
enjoy it
right.
while I can.
Yeah,
Exactly, exactly.
absolutely. Yeah.
Dr. Jeremy Thompson, thank you very much, my friend. I really
Thank
appreciate your time. I appreciate your energy, and you're calling all the
you.
way from Australia, right? And
Yeah.
it's at almost 10 o'clock in the morning there, right? I believe you
Yeah.
said, yeah.
Yeah.
So
No.
you are now. I went international now. You are my first
Really?
international guest. Yes, my
That's
first
funny, isn't it? And
international guest.
like, I'm
Yeah,
in
I
my
got.
room, you're in yours. We could be next door.
There you go, right? I mean, I got international listeners and folks that download the podcast, but you are
Yeah.
my first international guest. And
I
we have
can't believe
someone else
that.
that said, "Thank you, Dr. Thompson, for your time. They enjoyed
Yeah.
listening to you and for the reference and the link." So
No worries.
you made some fans, my friend. You made some
Okay, that's
fans,
good.
right? But your number one
Hey,
fan
thank you,
is been
Baz.
sticking out. There you go. Hey, take care, sir. Thank you very
Excellent.
much.
All the best. Thanks for having me. See you,
I
Baz.
appreciate you. All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.